Testing, 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 testing. Mic check. Mic check. All right, we're good. All right. Let's make sure we're good to go here. I think we are. Hey everybody, welcome to the instant reaction to UTSA defeating Temple 49-34. There's a lot to cover in this game, a bizarre game to be completely honest. For those of you who tuned in to the preview of this game, I did expect UTSA to score 40-plus points. I think my prediction was 45, so they got 49, so I was on point there. But I thought the defense would play a lot better, so I expected Temple to score around 2 touchdowns, so I think I said 14 points. And that was just based off some of the stuff that I seen Temple put on film before playing, before coming into this game. And folks, I got to be honest with you, they were prepared on offense, and our defense just did not show up. 34 points against that offense that I want to show respect to them, but that wasn't a good offense. That wasn't a very talented team, and they went in and put up 34 points on us, with no problem. So there's a lot of stuff to get into, and I'll roll right into it. Make sure you guys send some comments in the stream here. I'll make sure I'll address all of those, but I'll just start off with my overall thoughts on the game. So the first takeaway, I want to start on a positive. I do think Frank Harris being back, being healthy, really showed up and showed out today. I think having him play up to the ability that we are all, used to seeing is huge, because we've questionable quarterback play in non-conference is what's got us in this position. Frank was not great in the first couple of games. Then obviously got injured, and we got to see Eddie Lee Marburger, and we got to see McCown. So some stability at that position will do a lot for our team, and I think we've seen our offense perform the way we know they can perform, the way that our talent would speak to. Like, if you think about the talent we have on offense, we have a wealth of talent, and we still didn't even have J.T. Clark today. I think Devin McEwen showed himself as someone who is going to be a large contributor for us. Remember what I said earlier in the season, who's going to be those other receivers who's going to step up and make big plays for us. And we're seeing Devin McEwen do that, and then Taki Ogle-Kellogg has been doing that, in spots throughout this season. So huge shout outs to him. He had a few big catches today as well. So I think there was a lot of positives on offense. I think if you look at some of the stats here, Frank Harris was just phenomenal, 25 of 33 from a completion standpoint. 338 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. The no interceptions is the most important part of that. He took care of the ball for the most part. There was obviously a couple of passes that was a bit questionable, but we were fortunate on those that they didn't get picked off. But one thing that I thought was interesting, which a lot of people were talking about this, and I put a question on the Road Runners Unfiltered account after halftime, and I said, hey guys, which player stood out the most for you? And pretty much the consensus is what I got was Robert Henry. Robert Henry. If you look at the stat sheet, Robert Henry and Kavorian Barnes split carries. They both had 11. Both had 11 carries. That's significant in my opinion. Robert Henry, 11 carries, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kavorian Barnes, 11 carries, 52 yards, 1 touchdown. Rocco Griffin had a series, and he had 4 plays they gave him right after halftime to where he got to carry the rock. But he averaged 5.2 yards a carry. I think something that we also have to take note of is Frank Harris did not run the ball much. Frank only had 5 carries for 3 yards and a tutty. So I think that's a that's a pivot from UTSA in general, what we normally do, and that's something different. And that's because, in my opinion, we have to protect Frank. We can't keep putting him in harm's way. And this is something that I was really animated about whenever he got hurt in the first place. We're running him too much. So I did like the adjustments that our offense made. But if you look at our leading receiver, it was Devin McEwen, 6 catches on 94 yards and a touchdown. Great from him. You had Taki Ogle-Kellogg, who I mentioned before, 3 catches, 84 yards and a touchdown. Joshua Cephas, of course, 7 catches, 81 yards and a touchdown. That's UTSA football. Not to mention Big Oscar, 5 catches, 51 yards. Pivotal plays on third down and big downs where Oscar came and made plays for us. So when you think about Oscar, he's giving you the blocking, he's giving you an extra lineman-sized body with the ability to go out and catch passes. So just I want to give hats off to the offense. They went up and put up 49 points, and it's sad that we needed to score 35 against the Temple team because they put up 34. So I'll go to some of the comments we have. So Aiden Suarez says, "What was that defense?" I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. I am disappointed in our defense 100%. Our secondary, I'll just be honest, folks. They played like ass. It was bad. It was really, really bad. I think that they have to figure out something, and I don't know if it's a schematic. I don't know. I think So one thing I did notice is that when the ball, when guys were in position, they were making plays on the ball when they got the opportunity to. But it seemed like we were getting outclassed coordinator to coordinator because some of these plays, they were just naked wide open. Like, I don't understand. Is it the guys that they're putting out there that's just blowing coverages? We were listen, I'll tell you this. On that trick play that they had, we were completely undisciplined on that play. Whenever you're in the middle of the field coming off of a big play, I noticed as a DB playing years ago that one key thing that you look for is trick plays. Corners specifically have to keep their eyes. They don't have run responsibilities. Not in those situations if you have a receiver in front of you. Your obligation is that receiver. How we're getting tricked on trick plays and play actions consistently is worrying. That's worrying. That can't continue to happen. We're going to, like, what scares me about that side of it is that we're going to play way better teams than Temple. Temple's not a very good team. Don't let what you've seen today fool you into thinking that they're a very good team. Go look at any tape, any highlights, any film of them prior to this game, and then come talk to me if you think that team is a good team. That team, they're not good. They're not good. They put up 35 points against us or 34 points against us. That's a joke. We're UTSA. We're better than that. And if you look at the individuals on defense, the individual talent that we have on defense, we have NFL prospects on that defense. Our defensive line got punched in the mouth. They were getting moved back. That Temple's offensive line was completely controlling the line of scrimmage. They were punching us in the mouth, and they were killing us on some trap plays, on some of the zone plays, on some of the plays where they were pulling the lineman in front. They were killing us 100%. And then not to mention the plays out on the perimeter. The quick screens that they were running on the outside, just everything they were doing on the outside was killing us as well, and they were having a ton of success doing that. We gotta figure something out there, man. And then time out. Another thing too, I want to point out: how many times did the running back catch the ball out of the backfield on the third freaking down, especially in the first half? We can't why? I don't understand right now why our defense is just turning people loose. And this is not me coming at the players specifically, but I'm questioning the coordinator at this point. I'm like, dude, offensive coordinators are able to scheme things up And it makes our defense look dumbfounded. It makes our coordinator look dumbfounded because we're not even in the vicinity sometimes of the player that's catching the ball or running the ball. We're just completely duped. Some of this, there's individual players that are making mistakes, but some of this is just we're getting out schemed. That's a problem. That's a problem. This is an AAC team that we should have steamrolled. We should have steamrolled this team. There's no way in hell this team should have put 34 points up against us. I'll go back to some much more of the comments here. We got UTSA offense defeated Temple. I completely agree with you, Sauce Dogs. Completely agree with you 100%. Mike Munez says that defense will not beat UAB or anyone else in the AAC if they don't get it fixed. 1,000%. And that brings me to my next point. Listen, you can look at, do not be tricked by UAB's record. Please do not be tricked by UAB's record because they haven't been very good this year. But understand right now, as we speak, they are up on South Florida 35-14 in the first half. The second quarter has not finished, folks. So like and think about it. UAB is 1-4 right now. South Florida is 3-2. So do not be fooled by their record. If they win that, they'll come in 2-4. Do not be fooled by their record. If we do not tighten up on defense, they're going to hang 50 on us with no problems. Because if Temple offense can, UAB's offense can. Because UAB has more talent on their offense, and they're just better. They're better. Don't let the record fool you. So defensively, we just have huge problems. And I don't know and like I said, I am not huge on calling out specific players. And so I'm not necessarily going to do that. But to me, I look at the person and the individual who's leading the defense. That's our defensive coordinator. Since our defense hadn't showed up since Texas State. Got steamrolled against Army, got steamrolled against Tennessee, and we got steamrolled today. Temple steamrolled our defense 1,000%. Got to do better. My man Jeffrey Vidari says, what happened to our D? Yeah, I don't know, man. Such a drop-off from Houston. Yeah, it goes back to what I was saying, too. So I think we did play good defense against Texas State, so I'll give them that. But, yeah, we haven't played good defense in 4 or 5 weeks at this point. Or was it 4 weeks now? Yeah, not the last 3 game weeks and including the bye. It's been 4 weeks since we've seen our defense come out and show up. And what did I say coming into this particular game and coming into conference play? My biggest thing for UTSA is, are we ever going to put together a complete game where the offense and the defense shows up together in unison as one team, and then we go out there? We still haven't seen our best. Today, our offense showed up and showed out and did a damn good job. Defense, nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. And we got lucky on some of the plays that they didn't hit, to be just completely honest. So we got to figure something out. Jeffrey also says, not confident we will beat UAB, USF, Rice, or Tulane. I think this is who we are. You know what? I can't be mad at that opinion at all. Based on what we've seen right now today, there is nothing, it's hard to make a case that we go in and just beat those teams 100%. It's hard to make that case 1,000%. I agree with that. What I will say is the one case you can make is, well, Frank returned to form. If we do get JT Clark back, I don't know what the situation is there, but if we do get him back and we have more offensive weapons outside, maybe we can play shootout football with folks, but that's not a way to win football games either, right? We did take away the ball a couple times today, which is nice, but yeah, not great. So I don't disagree with the fact that, like, am I super confident that we're gonna go in and be the UAB, US, a South Florida, or Rice, or Tulane? Not right now. No, I'm not. So I have to watch the game back, of course, but based on what I've seen from the defense, if we can't stop anyone, how are we gonna win a conference title? that puts way too much pressure on that offensive side of the ball. And I'm not saying that our offense can't rise to the occasion, but you got to have all three units. You got to have the offense, the defense, and the special teams all firing on all cylinders if we're going to challenge for an AAC title this year. And we have yet to see a complete game, 100%. Sauce Dog says, the only props I can give the D is they finally got some turnovers that turned into short fields for the O. Listen, yes. And if you think about what our defense has been, our defense has not been a defense that just completely shuts people out, but we've been good at taking the ball away and getting the offense extra possessions. But we haven't been this bad. You know what I mean? Like, if we can be a takeaway defense that can we can take the ball away from the offense. If we can be that type of defense and we bend a little bit, but we're giving our offense extra possessions and our offense has gotten things together, we can work with that. We can work with that. But what we can't do is be a defense that completely doesn't show up and also don't take the ball away. Just weird. I'm going to get into some of the questions that we got on Twitter and some of the comments we got on Twitter here. So I'll go down. There's a lot of the defense. Yeah, everybody's asking questions about the defense. We should pull out the dub, but showing the defense put on. Yeah, there's a lot. Basically, yeah, where's our LB and cornerback talent? The boys are struggling. I agree, Richie. Yeah, 100%. I agree. I think there is something schematically that is wrong with the way we're setting up coverages. I think that much is evident and obvious. We are not covering zones well. We're not very good in man. The other teams are getting way too much separation from our corners and our just defensive back unit in general. People are wide open all the time. And what pains me is that it is teams that is not up to the caliber of where I think UTSA should be based on the talent that we have and the coach that we're playing for or that they're playing for. That's one of the issues too. It's like you got Coach Traylor, who's a legendary coach, you can already say, in his short tenure at UTSA, based on, him hanging banners up. And when you look at the defense that he's rolling out, like I said, he's an offensive-minded guy, so you expect his offense to always be sheer, and it has been. But I don't think that just because he's an offensive guy, he's not someone who cares deeply about defense, and I know he does. But right now, the defense that he's rolling out there, at least over these last 3 games, it's just not up to par. It's inexcusable. It's inexcusable to give up 34 points to that offense. Do you understand that this guy, Kurt Warner, I think he's Kurt Warner's son. I think they were saying on the broadcast. I don't like to listen to the broadcast sometimes because I don't like it to influence any of my thoughts on the game. But this guy threw the ball for 65 attempts, which is insane. But 472 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. This is insane to me. And think about this. Remember what I mentioned earlier about the running back catching the ball out the backfield on 3rd downs. Darvin Hubbard, running back number 28, 8 catches on 95 yards. What are we doing? What are we doing? John Adams, a dude who didn't have, I think he had 2 catches coming into the game. He went for 10 catches, 127 yards in the tug. We're just letting anybody off practice squad. He's playing because of injury. We're letting guys just coming in off the street catch touchdowns on us and go over 100 yards. David Martin Robertson on that team, 8 catches, 112 yards. We got running backs catching the ball. We got number 95. I don't know if this is correct, but this guy has 4 catches on 30. Just everybody just going out there and having a good time catching the rock against us. Inexcusable, and if we don't get that fixed, we're going to be in trouble. That's just a fact. Our man David says, so in 2013, we won our first Conference USA conference game in El Paso in 2023. I was there at that game, by the way. In 2023, we win our first AAC conference game in Philadelphia. I like this trend, but how would you guys compare both games? Honestly, I feel like both games are similar, if I'm being honest. If you think about that game back in 2023, man, I'm not going to go back and look at stats and stuff like that. Or I meant 2013. Maybe I should pull it up just to answer his question. But if I'm not mistaken, it was a game that we won, I believe. Yeah, it's 32-13. To be completely honest, I think the difference between that game and this game is that we went in and handled business, and in this one we didn't. We took control of that game early. We scored 18 points in the second quarter, and we allowed 3 points in the second half. So there's huge differences. We took care of business in 2013, and I'm not saying we didn't take care of business today, but we were better. I'll tell you this: coming into the game, there's similarities because we were better than UTEP at the time, right? And we went in and showed that we were better. I think we showed that we were better here, but we kind of underachieved based on what we have because we let this offense score 34 points, right? It's okay if they put up 21 points in the first half. I'm not that worried about it, but they still scored 13 in the fourth quarter. They have fight. We shut them out in the third quarter, which is good. I think we had 4 straight possessions where they didn't score any points, and that's hats off to our defense in the third quarter. But just based off of this, we had a quarter and a half of all right football from our defense. Not great. Totally different teams, though. The offense now is a lot more explosive as it was in 2013. But yeah, we went in and took care of business against a team that we should have beat. That's what it comes down to. Answering that question. We got a couple more comments here. We got, let's see, our Sauce Dogs. Our DBs have been caught off guard for years. We have always given up big plays and blown coverages, but this year does look a bit worse than previous seasons. Absolutely. Understand this, Sauce Dogs. The teams that we play are obviously going to have they're scholarship guys as well. They have talent. They have talented coaches and things like that. So it's just in football, that type of thing is going to happen. Wide receivers are going to win matchups downfield. But what you want to do is limit the amount of trouble you have in that area. You don't want to be giving up big plays and blowing coverages, 3-4 times a game. If you can limit that to 1 or 2 times a game, that's going to happen. That type of thing is going to happen. Maybe even 3, depending on the offense that you're going up against. The problem right now is, and here's the other thing. What's acceptable? It just depends on what you look at. Like for me, if we're giving up these bigger plays downfield, but our defender is in the vicinity and he's at least going up and competing for the ball, but the opposing team makes a great catch. If that's what's happening, yeah, I'm going to be pissed about it, but I'm okay. That's okay because guess what? We'll live to play another down there, right? Like I said before, the people on the opposing team are on scholarship as well. They have talent. They can go up and make big plays. You can live with that. What you can't live with is them completing a long pass downfield and nobody is within 10 yards of the person. That's where it's that's a bigger problem because we were duped completely. They pulled the wool over our eyes there. You know what I mean? That right there can't happen. That one's, I don't know. That's a big problem. And I agree with you 100%. It's happening way too much. It's happening far too much. But yeah, just I'll go into some of the things that I think of how this will hurt us going forward. I'll tell you this. Teams now, we have a clear weakness on defense, and teams are going to attack it. And if we don't fix those issues, we're going to get exposed badly. We're going to get exposed badly, people. That's the part that I'm worried about. It's been, I just go back. I think about Army, like they're just throwing the ball on us, and I'm at this point, I'm like, what happened? Was it just that we caught Houston and Texas State at a good time? We didn't beat Houston, right? But our defense performed well. But did we catch them at a good time? To me, there seems to be a night and day difference. In the Tennessee game, I'm not even necessarily worried about. We were fighting uphill that game. I get it. I don't understand a 34-point allowance for Temple. I don't understand it. I cannot put my finger on what's the cause of that. Why are we so lost? I think, and I'm going to definitely be watching Twitter. I'll be curious to hear what Coach Traylor has to say about some of this. Because you got to believe that he's going to be breathing down his defensive coordinator's neck about, hey, we got to fix this shit or we're going to be in trouble. We're not going to have a shot at the title. We can't give ourselves a chance to win a conference title if all we have is an offense that's going to show up. Thank goodness Frank Harris is, has returned to form and he is doing his thing. But, if we don't have a defense that's going to bail us out, because you got to understand, man, our offense is not going to be perfect, right? They're not going to be perfect. Our offense is going to have times where they struggle as well. The problem right now is if they do have times where they struggle, we're going to lose the game because our defense has not shown the ability to be, since Texas State, they have not shown the ability to halt anybody. They haven't shown the ability to halt anybody. That's a problem. That's what I'm worried about the most. So I'd be interested to hear what Coach Traylor's comments is about some of this and how they're going to address this stuff going forward. Are we going to start seeing new players into the fold? That's kind of worrisome too. There's a question that I kind of got offline here, but I think it's a fair question to ask. And I don't want to necessarily get into this now. I'll probably get into some of this in the podcast later this week. Excuse me. But we still have a lot of Coach Wilson's recruits out there. Are we looking at recruiting flaws? Is that what this is? Is that what this could be? I don't know. Sorry. But yeah, I am worried about our secondary. I'm worried about our defense, and I'm worried about what it's going to do to our chances going forward. Like I said before, man, I still think that our team can win a conference title. I have nothing in my mind has shifted on that piece. But what I will say is my concerns are steady increasing based on what I'm seeing now. Based on what I expected us to come in and steamroll this team on both sides of the ball, and we still just can't do it. And think about this. We started so flat, and I don't want to hear this shit about like, oh, well, they came off of a bye week, so on and so forth. Listen, I'm going to tell you something right now. There are going to be teams good enough that we play in this conference. Listen, if we start off like that against UAB, we're going to be in trouble because we may not get the lead back. Like we got off to a slow start to the game. We let them score. We come in and get a 3 and out and give them the ball back. And we got lucky that they turned the ball over there. And they got errant on offense. That's what kind of threw us a mulligan a little bit, if we're being honest. But if we come out and start slow, we've started slow a lot this year. Just go back and think about the games. We have not gotten off the fast starts this year on either side of the ball. We really haven't. So like, I don't know. That's worrisome. Like I look down at our schedule and I'm, starting to get a little worried. Like UAB is not going to be an easy game. Um, you know, I'll just say this: we gotta be careful. And I would advise everybody, in your spare time, if you can catch any of the AAC games going forward, I advise you to catch them because I spend some time looking at those teams, and we playing some good ass teams. I mean, there's a lot of teams that we played last year that have been formidable, and teams that are giving us a lot of problems. We got to see them again. They're reloading. They're back. They returning a lot of good players as well. So like, here's the thing. I was feeling really good about this game because I felt like this game was going to be a confidence building game. I feel like we all felt like that because anybody who took a look at what Temple put on film before we played them, you think like, okay, we should probably steamroll this team. That's why the spread was like we should win by more than 2 touchdowns, and we did. But at the end of the day, them being the separation being 15 points is a bit worrying. I think the separation should have been double that. We should have won that game by 30 if our defense decided to show up at all. So with us not doing that, it just makes me put into question like, well, what are we going to look like against UAB? What are we going to look like against FAU? What are we going to look like against East Carolina? What are we going to look like against North Texas? Right, South Florida, Tulane. What are we going to look like against them teams? Right? If we don't get it together. I'm not saying that it's impossible to get it together. I'm sure we can. But like right now, it is definitely a cause for concern and something that just needs to be addressed. I will say this, just going back to the running backs, I'll go back to the positives now. I have ranted about how pissed I am at the defense. I'll go back to some of the positives, though. I do think at the running back position, I do like the fact that we have another guy who's emerged as someone who's going to really contribute heavily to the offense. So Kavorian Barnes, listen, I'll tell you this, those fumbles can be I guess for him specifically kind of sucks because he's probably not going to be getting 25, 26 carries the way he probably wanted to. But I think what it has done is allowed some other guys to go in and strut their stuff and see if they can get some playing time, and they have. Like I said, Robert Henry was our best rusher today, and I think a lot of folks on Twitter and a lot of folks just in general are paying attention to the work that guy's putting out. So that's a huge positive. I also think that our receivers were able to get separation today. That's something that I've harped on all year, and we have not been consistent at doing that. They did that today, even if the secondary. I made a joke about how bad their secondary was coming into this game, but there is still effort and it's still skill that goes out there and shows how bad they are, and our guys did that. And my joke was that, like, I probably could suit up right now, overweight, not out of shape, and play for that secondary, and they showed that I probably still could. But that was good. I think our offensive line did some good things today. I think they pass blocked relatively well. One thing that we cannot do as an offensive line and as an offense in general, we can't freaking let somebody come through a blitz down A gap and smack our quarterback in the mouth. Cannot happen, guys. Cannot happen. But I won't spend too much time on that. But our offense did his thing. They did really well. I think that Frank spread the ball out, spread the ball around really well and got a lot of guys in the game, and that's going to be huge. But it was also nice to just see him back and looking like himself. I think the time he took off was beneficial and helpful. He's been, this is his first time playing in in 4 weeks basically, or this is like the fourth week. He missed, what was it, Army, Tennessee, and had a bye week. And now the week within, 4 weeks, he's back and ready to go. So he looked healthy, looked good. Listen, as long as Frank is healthy and good, I think we'll have an opportunity to win conference because, even if our defense isn't playing well, if he's at the top of his game, we can go in and be a live dog against anybody, regardless of what our defense does. So that's huge. It'd be great if anybody has an update on the JT Clark situation. I thought he was supposed to be returning today. I didn't see him out there unless I must have missed a play. I didn't see him play at all. He definitely didn't catch any passes if he did play, so I don't think he played. But that's going to be a huge thing, man. I'm like, where is he at? That's a huge deal. Like, don't get me wrong, we had some guys stepping up, but, like, could you imagine bringing him back into the offense and having that type of safety blanket back in the offense whenever we're rolling? So, I don't know. JT was in on the quarterback sneak by Frank. Really? When are they gonna throw him the ball, David? That's the main thing. Like, let's get him on some jump balls or something. I see him warming up and out there dressed out with the team every week. They gotta get him. I don't know. I'm concerned about that. I know I wonder if he had an injury setback. That's one of the things that needs to come into consideration, because I think after the game against Houston, I believe there was Coach Traylor disclosed to the media that he was upset that he held him out of the game. And we're talking 5 or 6 weeks ago. So, I'm wondering what's the issue there. We need to figure that out, because he could change things. He could change the dynamic of our offense, change the dynamic of the team, just his presence alone, and a defensive coordinator on an opposing team having a game plan for him, right? You got Cephas in the slot playing on the other side. You got JT Clark, and now you have the emergence of a Devin McEwen, Taki Ogle-Kellogg, strutting his stuff out there, and then with the running backs doing their thing and Frank back to form. Now we're going to be in a situation where we can start spreading things around that offense, getting guys one-on-one opportunities to make some plays, and then we can start dealing and putting up numbers like this. But I think it'll be huge for him, because you having a threat like that on the field is just going to move the defense even more, and that's something that we gotta have if he's available. So I don't know if there is this is a disciplinary thing. I don't know if he's had some sort of an injury setback, but whatever it is, I hope that it gets fixed, and I hope that he returns pretty soon, because we're going to need him against some of these teams that are going to be a lot better than Temple. I can tell you that. I'll be honest, man. In terms of a letter grade for this game, I'll give us a B. And I'm giving us a B solely because I think the offense deserves what the offense did deserves something more positive. Something more positive in terms of what you can take away from this game. But defense, you get a solid like D or F from me. Just an embarrassing performance. And I don't necessarily, like I said, I'm not going to call out any players directly, but I think on every level of the defense, from the front seven to the back, the guys in the secondary, just not good enough. Just not good enough. And our defensive coordinator, we're going to need you to do better, brother. Not going to call you out by name, because I don't like to do that kind of thing either, but, like, we're going to need to see better, because this is not I don't know. I feel like you got the talent, but what's the reason for it not performing? Why is it not performing? Why is the talent you have not performing? This is a problem. It's a huge problem, and I don't know. I'll leave it at that, because I have other comments about it, but, like, it is somebody's job. So, you don't ever want people to be out of a job, but it's always the thing. It's like if somebody's not doing a job, somebody else will, right? So, but I'm sure that guy's under a lot of pressure. I know he's probably kicking himself on some play calls that he has, even more than we're kicking at him. But, like, at the end of the day, man, like, if our defense doesn't show up, we're going to be in trouble. And honestly, if you look at it, if I'm just keeping it a buck, if you look at the points we've been putting up, I can't take a whole bunch from it because Tennessee held us to 14. But honestly, yeah, we've only had 2 good offensive games too. This game and Army. And Army, yeah, I guess that 29 points. We should be able to win with 29 points. But outside of that, like 14 points against Houston, 13 against Texas State, and then 14 against Tennessee. Like, I don't know. I hope that our team gets it figured out. Make sure you guys drop any comments in the chats if you have any. But yeah, I think it's going to take some patience. I'll go back to something that Ferris said a while back, and I just didn't think it would show its head this season. But in that one of the kickoff podcasts of this season, we talked a little bit about, hey, at some point UTSA is not going to be at the level that it was last year and the year before. And my mindset there was like, yeah, you're right. I agree with that, but it's not going to be this year, because this year I have expectations of us, potentially winning the AAC in our first year being there. And I thought that the non-conference games, we had a very big chance of winning. I thought we'd go 3-1 in non-conference. I thought we'd beat U of H. I thought we'd beat Army. I thought we'd beat Texas State, which we actually did. The one I was worried about was Tennessee. But going there at 1-3 and then putting in this performance to kick off conference play, it's like, oh my gosh, are we there earlier than what we want to be? We don't want to be in that situation at all, but are we already there? It's weird. I'll tell you this, but going back to the point about the whole recruiting piece, like, more Trailers players are now coming to the forefront. And I do think that, like, there's going to be a topic of discussion about that. Like, how good are we going to be able to reload? Being able to reload is a huge part of being a coach, because you have to be able to recruit 100%. Also, it also brings this whole discussion up about donations and donors and fundraising, and are we doing enough on that front to enable these NIL collectives to, get these players paid, right? Are we doing enough to compete there as well? Like, it's going to start bringing all of this type of stuff up into question, because it's just part of football now. It's part of college football at this particular point in time. These things have to happen, and we have to be at the top of the conference at this stuff, or we're going to lose good big-time players to conference rivals, and we can't have that happen. We can't go in undergunned against these teams. Right now, I feel like we can outgun a lot of these teams from a talent standpoint, but the things that worry me is that are some of these little ancillary things that may not directly impact the game that's being coached tomorrow or next weekend, right? But these things have an impact on what the program is going to look like in the future. These things have an impact on what our next season look like, and it's going to have an impact on how recruits view us, and do they want to come here? Do they want to go there? So on and so forth. So I just think that this is not me doing a bit telling everybody to go donate, but I think the people who are there doing a job to raise money and to put themselves, to put the program in a position to succeed in this new climate and atmosphere, a lot of pressure is going to come after this season, because you're not going to have Frank and some of these super seniors anymore. So, and I'm talking about the proven guys, the guys who are already proven. So, like, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how a lot of that stuff goes. But with that, I'm going to wrap up. I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate you guys sticking with me. Make sure you guys check the description. Join the Patreon, man. I'd love to have you guys there and have a good time. It's a very low price. I only have one tier. Going to have a lot of new UTSA content and stuff on there. So join the community and let's build something with it. But appreciate you guys for being with me. And I am signing off. Road Runners Unfiltered. Peace.